What up? What up? Another Twitter Spaces being uploaded to YouTube for safekeeping. This is going into the Twitter Spaces playlist. While you're here, check out the masterclass tutorial playlist. Check out all the great free stuff. My books are on Amazon, Trading Wisdom, Trading Quotes. And check out Bitcoin Live. Let's get this going. What is it, May 19th, 2023. Warm hello and heartfelt thank you for everybody who is joining. We're going to give it a little bit of time to fill up this room. Usually we get a pretty decent little crowd. The Head and Shoulders. First
The format,
it's the Ask Me Anything format. And what I'd like to do is, I love, for you folks to come and ask questions, share your stories, and, kind of ask questions about trading. You can ask about charts. For listening, it creates like a really nice educational. And I've already done, I think, 4 or 5 of these this week. And if you look at the top of this Spaces, I've attached a bunch of tweets. And one of them is a link to the prior Spaces I've done this week. I've been streaming a lot on YouTube as well. So there's a link to that stuff. Just get a few things out of the way. I am on Twitter at Big Cheds. I'm on YouTube at Cheds Trading. This will eventually be uploaded to my YouTube channel into the playlist for Twitter Spaces. I've got 31, 32 of these already up there. So if you enjoy these conversations, you're a new trader, you're looking to learn, I would go there. Check out the masterclass tutorial playlist, 3 beginner and now 2 advanced webinars, really to kind of teach you the basics of TA, Western and Eastern TA, classical charting, Japanese candlestick analysis. I am the author of Trading Wisdom, 50 Lessons Every Trader Should Know. That book's done really well. You can get a free version of that book on my YouTube channel. I have 1/3 of the book for free up there for you. And the reason I'm so active this week, this is way more content than I usually put out. I'm really pushing myself pretty hard this week because we have the 5-year anniversary of Bitcoin Live. And I'm a founding analyst, and I do a twice-a-week full market report. I'm just one person on a team of more than 7 people. And it's a world-class team. It's an unbelievable team of analysts and educators. And we have just a ridiculous sale going on right now where you can get, quarterly membership, which is usually $300. You can get it for like $27 for the first 3 months, which is kind of crazy. So I'm just doing a lot of these spaces and YouTube's videos to get the word out. If you've ever thought about joining, now is definitely the time. So I've attached a lot of that information at the top of the spaces. I'll also mention that the spaces is sponsored by BingX. They're a wonderful exchange. If you're looking for somewhere to trade, you'll see that information as well at the top. So the way this works is it's not going to be me talking the whole time. It's going to be you folks coming up and asking questions. It's an Ask Me Anything format. And what I always like to say is thank you to everybody, who's been here before. Thank you to all the return listeners. But especially if you've never spoken before, I'd love to hear from you. And there's a button in the bottom left which says like request to speak or request the microphone, and that will allow you to come right up and to ask questions. And that's what it's all about. So I'm going to sit here, and we're still filling up the room. We're still getting this started. Conversations usually go for about an hour, and we get maybe 20 or so questions, which is great. So I'd like you to join the conversation. I'd like you to add your voice to the choir. Hit that button in the bottom left to request to speak, and we can get things going. I'm just going to take a brief pause here while I wait for some folks to step up and ask questions, and then we'll get things going. folks, while you're listening, it's not really going to go anywhere until you join the conversation. That's what it's all about. I'm not, if you want to hear me just talking to myself, lecturing, you've got plenty of opportunity. Just go to my YouTube channel and you get a bunch of that stuff there. I'm actually going to live stream later today at some point. I did a live stream last night. I'm going to do another Spaces tomorrow. I'll do one Sunday. I'll live stream tomorrow, maybe even on Monday, on that last day of the sale. But I'm not going to sit here and just talk to myself. It's not that exciting. It's much more interesting when it's interactive and back and forth, and that's what I do, what I enjoy. I enjoy the opportunity to talk to you. So we've now got over 50 people listening, and we'll see who the first person is who's brave enough to step up and ask a question. You don't have to be brave, really. You just have to be just to share your voice and ask your question, and then we'll get this started. So I'm going to wait for the room to fill up a little bit more, and I'll wait for some people to come up and ask some questions, and then we'll get this started. Come on now, don't be shy. This isn't going anywhere. All right, this isn't going anywhere. You folks, you 50 plus people listening, and you don't want to do any work. You just want to listen to a great conversation. I need you to help make this conversation great again. I need you to help make the conversation great. So, folks, I see you there. I see your profile picture. Just listening and waiting. It's one of those things where everyone's waiting for the first person to go. You folks need to hit that button to request to speak. This isn't ask me anything. Let's get it going, folks. Come on. All right. Here we go. Let's start out with don't call my phone. Don't call my phone. You are the first speaker. What's going on, buddy?
Hey Cheds, what's up?
How you doing, man? What's
I'm doing
happening?
all right. It's actually my first time speaking in spaces.
Good.
Um, actually,
Good. This is what I want. I want first time people who've never done it before. I mean, this is the format. So
uh, I figured I would take the opportunity to stand up. So I live in Jamaica, and crypto,
nice.
like really, like it's given me an opportunity, even though it was God though. However, I'm actually struggling though with trading, even though I don't feel like I'm putting like my all into it. But
Yeah.
Um, I started watching your master classes, but I haven't made much progress in it though. It's yeah, it's
Okay.
really my fault in general. I would say in short, I'm slacking. So I don't-
So here's what I have to say about that. Um, with anything that's any skill worthwhile, it's not something you're going to pick up overnight, and you're going to have to put some time and focus and energy into it, right? You can't just pick up the guitar and start playing it. So I'd recommend you start experimenting with your trades, but two very small position sizes. You need to start to build up muscle memory and experience. So start trading using the lessons I'm teaching you and other lessons out there, and then make sure you're using like a journal and you're writing down. So every trade you're entering, here's why I'm entering the trade. Here's where my idea will fail. And here's how I'm feeling, when I'm entering and exiting the trade. So you start to build up a body of work. You start to get some experience. You start to train yourself to look at your mentality and how you're approaching things. Um, and it does sound like you realize you haven't really applied yourself yet, which is good because you're going to have to apply yourself and put in time and work over a period of time to get to where you want to be.
uh, so I guess it's just a matter of time and just getting
That's
down
it.
to it.
Yeah, just start building up the experience by trading and using small position sizes, experimenting, and then writing down and studying, your results. And I think that's going to, over the long run, it's going to help you improve, and you'll get to where you want to be. There's a lot of great, compared to when most people got into this space several years ago. There's way more free educational stuff out there right now. Like my YouTube has a ton of stuff. There's guys like Crypto Cred out there who's got some like a wonderful library of educational stuff. Even like Karush AK. There's a lot of great educational resources out there that really weren't around several years ago. So it's a really nice time to kind of teach yourself and kind of put yourself on that path.
Yeah,
All right.
that's good. But I would say
Okay.
I'm making some progress though. If I'm not beating myself up too hard, I've actually been able
Yeah.
to identify um, like downtrends and failing coins,
Yep.
so I don't like end up being a bag holder like most of the time. So I'm seeing
Good.
improvement in that aspect. So I
Good.
guess it's just to
Yeah, and also go easy on yourself. It's very easy to fall into the trap of self punishment and kind of getting mad at yourself and disappointed at yourself. But you got to try to look past that. If you find yourself getting too emotionally involved, you definitely will want to step away and take a little break. But just give yourself time and know that just look for little bit of steady progress over time, and then you'll get there.
all right, thanks, man.
Thank you, man. Blessings to you. All right.
Thanks, you too, and keep doing what you do.
Thank you, brother. Folks, I want to hear your voice. I want to hear your questions. To ask me anything, segment. We've done 37 of these. This is 38. Check out the remainder of them on Twitter. Hit that button in the bottom left. We have speaking slots available. Andrew, BTC Evangelism. What's going on, Andrew? I lost you. Andrew, what happened, brother? Folks, hit that button to request to speak. I see a lot of familiar faces and names here in the audience, and you folks need to step up. You need to step up and add your voice to the choir.
Thanks for having me up here.
Of
Fan of your
course, of
work.
course. Thank you.
I'm currently going through your Trading Wisdom book right now, and I've been enjoying that.
Thank
Just
you.
wanted to get some your opinion on just like how do you think Bitcoin is going to respond to like the debt ceiling getting raised? I think I
Doesn't
personally
matter.
no
I don't think it matters at all. No.
nothing burger. Yeah, I mean it's just gonna. I mean debt ceiling is a false narrative to begin with. But
Correct.
uh, yeah, I just so you're not really
I see
expecting
equities. No, there's no. I mean, look, the debt ceiling is going to get raised because it's just how it works.
right.
It always gets raised, and there's always posturing on both sides. It's like politics is like profession is WWE wrestling. Like the whole thing's a joke. There's like nothing real about it. And like the people who run the system, they have all their money in the system. They're not going to let stuff collapse. It's just not going to happen. And Bitcoin's already got a trend. We already have information on the chart. We kind of know what to watch out for. There's just zero advantage or zero information we can gain by trying to factor in debt ceiling talks into the Bitcoin chart. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't happen. There's no benefit of that.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense, man. Yeah, I was initially thinking like, well, at least like they're coming out and admitting, even though it's like, false narrative.
Yeah,
I see
yeah.
Dr. Jeff's in the audience. Actually, I was actually going to quote him. Is that he has actually a great talk with Nico, and basically they're like clouds. You just poke right up above it. Um, but I would say I was initially thinking like since they admit it, bondholders and stuff would think like, well, if they're just raising it, then they're just going to keep on printing more, and then that kind of loses faith in the dollar and stuff. But
Uh huh.
um, I initially was thinking it would be a positive thing for it. I mean, just but yeah, I guess like other
Yeah,
metrics are
I
more
think here's
important.
the
Like
thing. Here's the thing. The further you're going out and you're trying to connect the dots, it's like the less confidence you can have in any data point because you're like, because of this, then this, and because of that, therefore this. And with fundamental analysis, you can make a really compelling argument on either side, really, of almost any issue. And so, like, what real value is in that, other than just waiting for the asset class to respond? I mean, there's a supply and demand trend. There's market forces expressed within the chart. Does the price hold support, or not? What kind of information are we getting from the candlesticks, where buyers are stepping in, sellers are stepping in? What are we seeing with momentum? I mean, I've heard so many compelling arguments on both sides of so many issues for so long that I just don't know what the point is. Right? I just don't know. What is the point of that? What is the point of that fundamental analysis? Where does it really get you? Because at the end of the day, the price has got to do it. The price is the only fundamental analyst I need for my approach, and that's where what I'm doing here is I'm kind of speaking from my approach.
No, right. I mean, that's why I don't trade. Just stacking sets. But yeah. Anyway,
Are
I'll get
you
off the stage now. Thanks for having
in
me up.
altcoins
Oh
too,
yeah.
or what? Yeah, sure.
Nope, just Bitcoin, man. Just Bitcoin.
Good for you.
Yeah.
All
Mm-hmm.
right, brother. It was great to hear from you,
Yep.
man. Check out my YouTube. Check out Bitcoin Live. All right, man.
Yep. That sounds good. And to the guy who came up in, I think he was from Jamaica or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that you're getting into trading, man. But I would also suggest just stick with Bitcoin, self custody,
There
stack
you go,
sets. Bye,
brother.
everyone.
Stack it. All right, man. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Boone back in the house. Boone's back again.
Hey, Cheds, how's it going? I love talking to you. So
All
I've
right.
been
Okay.
jumping in on everyone.
Good. I'm
So
glad you are. People are lame. They don't want to join the conversation.
yeah, I have no trouble talking. So,
Good. Good.
I have a few things I want to ask you about, and I'll
Okay.
try to keep it short. What are your thoughts on Avalanche right now? The chart
What is it?
and
AVAX, right?
AVAX, yeah,
Yeah. Sometimes I know the name. Sometimes I don't.
just the ticker.
Let's see. Yeah, it's just these aren't projects. These aren't like anything real to me. They're
Yeah.
just really they're vehicles for speculation. This is a terrible chart, AVAX. I would delete it
hmm
from your watch list.
Well, I was more on the short on it, so that's kind of why I was.
Yeah, I mean, if you're short, you're good unless it can break back up above $21, $22. That's the peak of kind of its attempted multi-month consolidation range.
hmm
Even more locally, back up above 16, 15, 16.5 or even 17 would suggest maybe bulls are going to make a push to that $22 level. So any kind of like lower, kind of local short, you're probably good at least up to about 16.50.
Right. Yeah, I was just kind of looking at it, watching it, getting back into the rhythm of it. I had a
Okay.
lot of success trading it, a while back. So
Oh, good for
I was
you. Yeah,
just
and
kind of
look, that's the
watching
thing.
again.
That's a great point. Is that you are, and I tell people to have a smaller watch list, right? Instead of buying a second monitor, cut your watch list in half, and really not own, but like know and have muscle memory on whatever you're trading. And so it's good. Like if you've done well in the past on AVAX, go back to it, watch it, and that way you don't get spooked out when volatility comes. You know how to contextualize the volatility and how to take advantage of it.
Yeah, there's like four that I tend to you know d- zone in on those,
Mm-hmm.
and I probably need to get rid of one of those. So
Yeah.
um, definitely. So the other part of that is the other thing leading into that is
Yeah.
I like I said the other day, I was trying to drown out a lot of the noise, the white noise going on and everything on Twitter in general.
Mm-hmm.
But these shit coins that have been being launched, that I feel really bad for a lot of people that are, new into trading, that
Yeah.
are just getting absolutely slaughtered. I mean,
Yep.
slaughtered.
Oh,
And
sure. Yeah.
a lot of these coins are coming out, and I'm speaking in specific, like the Pepe, the this other trash bin, the
Oh,
other
sure. Yeah. No,
trash psyop, whatever that trash
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I just I don't understand what the mentality is of
You do.
people even going into
No, you
this
do
stuff.
though. You do. I
Yeah,
mean, they want to get rich
it's
quick.
Deegan, I guess, Deegan behavior.
DGen, yeah. Look. I mean, when I first started trading, and especially when I was doing penny stocks back in the day, I lost like a lot of money on stuff trying to like super greedy and wanting to like, I want a 5x overnight. I want a 10x this month, and It's here's the thing, sometimes when you start trading too, when you just start trading, and let's say you have a little bit of early success, that can be really dangerous, because then all of a sudden you think, oh, this is easy. Let me just like ape up my risk threshold. Let me just, put even more money in, and you don't really know what you're doing. You don't know how to define your risk. And so like a lot of what I do and have been doing since like 2014 is trying to like help people not get wrecked and try to avoid like all my dumb mistakes. And so like I empathize with those people. I've done that. I've donked away a lot of money. I've just like thrown it away. I've blown up accounts several times. And so we know why they do it. It's greed. They really want to get rich quick, and they haven't put in the work or the time to kind of identify opportunity, or even to really understand how or why they should manage their risk. So, it's a big ecosystem, and there's always going to be stuff like that, meme coins and projects. And that's why like even the reply bots, who of the stupid reply bots in Twitter, where it's like, where's that free money trick, and it's on my timeline, and like
Yeah, that's a new one.
people fall for that stuff because they're greedy, and it's human nature, and it's sad, but it's just part of it. And hopefully, but like I said to earlier, I think the first guy, there's way more free educational stuff now than there was years ago. So it's
Oh
just
yeah.
like, the system is trying to self-correct a little bit, and we're trying to help each other out. So it's just, if people want to learn, there's great stuff there for them. And sometimes you have to get burned first, unfortunately, before you really want to learn. And I'm sure some people listening can relate to that.
Yeah. Well, last thing, I'm really enjoying Bitcoin Live. I'm going through all the
Awesome.
people in there. Yeah. So I really, I'm taking this weekend to kind of do a deep dive with, taking a little bit of time this weekend. So I
I
really
love it.
appreciate all the content. Yeah, for
Great.
sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. New video on Sunday. So
All right.
I'll put my heart into that one.
Okay. Well, thanks again. So
Appreciate
I'm
you.
sure I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, yeah. I'm doing another spaces tomorrow. So I'm sure I'll see you then.
Okay. Right on.
See ya.
Thanks.
All right. Let's see who's next, folks. Great to have you in here. I think Plumber is next. Plumber
Hey, I'm
Pleb.
back.
Good to see you
You
again,
hear me?
man. What's cracking?
All right. I'm doing pretty well.
Good.
I reduced my position size yesterday by like 80%, 90%, and I felt a lot better.
Good.
Unfortunately, I got stopped out, but I got stopped out in profit, so that was good.
Oh, nice.
But my question is around like the volatility of Bitcoin is so much that I feel like it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because unless you're working on these well-defined areas that you talk about all the time, that like if you're trading in like when there's no trend, kind of like where we're at right now, like we can't decide if we're going up or down. That's how I feel like we're at right now.
Yeah, sure.
It's like I anything I do, it's going to get stopped out because it's going to swing up a few hundred and it's going to swing down a few hundred.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know what. So I want to know what your take on that is, but also a cool thing that I thought about recently was people say like the CME gaps need to get filled and all that, blah blah blah.
Nah.
Well, one guy was mentioning that like basically it's just because of the nature of the volatility of Bitcoin. Like the price fills in every gap because it goes up and down so much that like you can pick any price and Bitcoin's eventually kind of going to fill it back in.
I mean,
if it's been like,
Bitcoin still has CME gaps from like 3K and lower.
Right.
Like, those aren't going to fill.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, just by the nature of it, the vast majority, like 90% of them, are just going to get filled because of how
Well, there's
volatile
different
it is.
types of gaps. I mean, there's also, all gaps aren't created equally. If you study classical charting, like there's a breakaway gap where the price breaks away from resistance. That's less likely to fill than like what's called a common or a measuring gap, which is a gap in the middle of a move. And those will often fill and kind of reset the oscillators and to continue. I just recommend people don't try to use the CME chart to like analyze their trades. I mean, if it works for you, great. I pay zero attention to that, and like as you can see, I got a pretty good feel for the chart. What was the first part? The first part was
so like what time scale or like what's your thoughts on like
Here's what I wanted to say. So some of the best traders take like one trade a month.
Right, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
And so and for example, there's days, sometimes even like a week or more, where I don't take a trade because I'm waiting for something. And then there's days where I take 200 trades. Like if you remember back last year, I remember these days, January 24th, February 24th, May 12th. Go look at those. I had like over at least over 100 trades at least each of those days, because the days when everything's crazy and there's major volatility, there's major opportunity. And I love volatility because people are freaking out, and I'm just looking at a weekly or a daily chart, and the price is revisiting a major level, and now I have a very well-defined trade.
Right.
And yeah, you get stopped out too, but if you keep at it during those days, you're gonna make your best returns. So in poker, there's different styles of poker, and I'm writing a book that's like a poker and trading crossover book. That'll be book 5. And so there's a style called tight aggressive, which is how I like to play. And you wait, and then when you have a good hand, you jam it. You go for it. You're aggressive, right? So it's tight in terms of like your play selection, and then when you have something, you play it aggressively. So tight aggressive, and I kind of trade that way too.
Okay.
So yeah, be selective. Just wait. Give yourself time. Wait for good setups, and you're doing the right thing where you're recognizing. Hey, Duclair, let me mute you. Please don't unmute. Come back once you've got that fixed. Yeah, so you're identifying when it's in kind of a trendless environment. So just wait for the price to interact with a key level. You'll avoid getting stopped out, and you won't be paying the market makers for the market makers' children, to go to college.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
That's great. That's helpful.
Have
I don't know if
checked
other
out
people
YouTube yet? Have you checked out YouTube? My YouTube
Not,
stuff?
I did check out your most recent. I forget what it was. Some stream, I think. But
Okay.
yeah, I need to check out more of your stuff. I know.
Check out YouTube, and Bitcoin Live sale this week is unbelievable. You're not going to want to miss that opportunity.
Yeah, it looks like a good deal.
It's a ridiculous deal. I'm surprised the admin did it like that, but it is what it is. So
cool.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. All right, next up, let's get Duclair in. Let's get you in, man. Hey. Duclair.
Hey, what's up, Cheds?
Hi. What's cracking?
Not much. Just working. I'm delivering mail right now. Mailman.
Well, I appreciate you, buddy, because we need it. We need that. So thank you.
Yeah. So I got into crypto like 2020, and I started out with very little, but NFTs made sense to me because I'm a collector and I like collecting stuff. So I was
like what? Like what are you collecting?
I just like collecting everything. Old toys, Pokemon cards, sports cards.
Yep.
Just anything.
Okay.
But I have a good understanding of what people like, so I did pretty well. I started with very little, and I probably 100x'd my money. But
oh shit.
Yeah, but so now I have a bunch of crypto money, but I'm not a trader, and I really don't have the time to commit into learning how to trade and being successful. I don't think.
Okay.
So I'm looking to maybe rotate those more into dividend yielding stocks, something that's a lot. I don't have to be on there every day.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
Yeah. I'm wondering, when you starting now, basically, I was just wondering what you look for and when you get into these, and maybe I don't know if you have a handful now that you've been looking at that are in a good place now, or.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you generally what I'm doing. So when I have a dividend fund as well, and I like dividend stocks. I target stuff that's like a 5% yield. Is a good general target range for me, 5% plus. And what I do is I look for the price to be revisiting major monthly support monthly. Right, I'm looking at stuff that's been around ideally for decades, and it's back to 2005 lows, 2010 lows, 2000 lows. And even if it looks kind of it might just go in a range for the next 20 years, that's fine because I'm buying at the bottom of the range. So, for example, I've been buying XRX. I've been buying Walgreens. I've been buying IBM, which is giving you 5%. That's nuts. Hasbro, the toy company. Verizon, even like some of these banks, when people were screaming that like banks were going to zero, I'm like, all right, I'm going to buy some JP Morgan here. I'm going to buy some Citigroup. Like, this stuff is too big to fail. So like, great, I'll take some of it. I'm buying like Dow Chemicals, even like Coca-Cola. So I'm trying to buy stuff that's at or above 5% dividend yield, and that's at major monthly support level. So I'm trying to use trend analysis to kind of give me a reasonable starting point. And using a little bit of fundamentals, just because these are companies I know, and they're not going anywhere. They don't have to go straight up. It's fine. I'm going to accumulate them. I can hold on to them for many years to come, and that's kind of my approach.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's really so. You would look at a monthly chart. That makes sense.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Oh yeah.
And
So that's
for the
your time frame,
Bitcoin
right?
Live,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, I plan on just holding this stuff and just collecting over time and
Do
just
it.
trying to basically not let my money sit in cash.
And then you do the DRIP, the direct reinvestment plan, where it's quarterly. It will reinvest it into the asset, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, do that. So Bitcoin Live it's been around 5 years, and it's literally the best team in the world that studies crypto. And what I like about it is you have different approaches. Like, so it's me and a bunch of guys who've been trading for like a decade more than me. And more. I mean, these are like legitimate veterans, and you get different approaches too. You get Elliott wave analysis, you get some fundamentals, you get cycle theory, and then you get me, and I do my style, classical charting and Japanese candlestick with a little bit of sentiment analysis, risk management. And when you sign up, you get access to everyone's content. And even if you just check it out, which is for this like absurdly good deal, you can, like, while you're there, you can watch even 500 videos from me alone. You can watch like all my old videos. You can just like, it's just a ridiculous deal. But it's a platform like I'm really proud of, right? Like, I don't associate with like different brands. Like, Bitcoin Live is super legitimate. I put my heart into it, and I haven't missed a video in 4 years. I do an update twice a week, and I don't skip. Like, I'm sick, I'm traveling, I'm on a cruise ship. Like, I put out a video. So I'm really proud of the work we've done there.
All right, sounds good, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man. You have a good day, brother.
You too.
All right, let's get some folks up in the conversation. We have some speaking slots available. Hit that button to request to speak. You've been patient, Mr. Ryan, Crypto Ryan. Thank you for your patience. What would you like to say?
Hello, mate. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you, man. How you doing? How you hanging?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to get your perspective, because most of what I do, most of my analysis is Elliott wave, but it mixes in really with sentiment and psychology, focusing on the power of sort of like the free moves in the market. So from what I was studying, most of my content that I've been putting out over the last 6 months from 15,000 has been focusing on the next move to the 20,000 range, where we're ranging out, then the range where we are now, which I suspect is the second move of the Fed move to the upside, basically. So what I think we're going to get is another move to the upside to get, all of the bears that was short 15,000, get them really bullish around 40,000 zone. Hit it with one more high to make them people think, yes, I knew it. I'm a genius. Just like the people shorting down at 20,000, they got that initial bit of success, didn't they? Down to 15, and they was thinking, yes, here we go. I'm a genius. I knew it. Only for it to snap and reverse.
Sure.
Now, I just wanted to get your perspective on them sort of why it is that number 3 in people's mind is psychology. Why is it that Fed move that people want to jump in the market just for it to snap around?
So why is it that people are why is it people are kind of focusing on the Fed so much? Essentially, is more the question, or is it more like, why are people paying so much attention to like psychological levels and kind of chasing that, or what exactly did you want to talk about?
No, sorry, that may be my accent.
No, your accent's good. Your accent's fine. I just want to make sure I understand your question.
Not the Fed, the Fed move, the Fed
push
third to the upside. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, so the third move to the upside, like a wave 3, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're talking like wave 3? or something.
Yeah, what in your perspective, what is it that goes on in the human mind when it comes to trading, when it comes to psychology?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that third time that people, I'll say it right this time, third. Why is it that third time people just want to just get into the moment and just lose the money, basically?
So there's, I guess, and I really enjoy talking. Sorry, someone's trying to call me. Let me just send them a text so they know I'm doing a show. So hold on one second. Hold on 1 second, folks. Let me just send a text to someone doing spaces. Okay, so they know. So yeah, I really enjoyed. You guys can hear me okay? I really enjoy talking about psychology. So people like think about like why do people FOMO, right? Like it's funny, but like you actually want to train yourself to buy weakness rather than selling into it, and you want to train yourself to like sell strength, or at least it depends on the context, of course. But like you want to buy weak. You think about trend analysis. Your goal is to identify a trend. Let's say it's an uptrend, and then to benefit from moves against that trend, right? So you see a well-defined uptrend that like suddenly dips and revisits support. You want to buy the dip in the uptrend. And so people like FOMO because they want to buy something that's green because they think it will just continue. But it really obviously depends on momentum and the price relationship to levels of supply and demand as identified by the price. And it's just like everybody hates losing money, right? So when they see something green, they just want to ride it, and when they see something red, they get scared. So it's one of those things where you have to kind of you have to work despite your own natural emotional reaction, which is why people should trade journal. They should use a trading journal, and they should write down why they're entering trades and how they're feeling right when they enter and exit a trade. In terms of like the third move up, I'm not sure exactly if I know what you mean, but you know, it's the bulls have control of the chart right now on Bitcoin. They completed a weekly reversal pattern with what's called the head and shoulders, and that completed when it broke up above the 25.5k level, 25k level. The price is back up above the long-term moving average, the 200 weekly moving average. So there's reasons for optimism. There's reasons to be a bull. Bulls are in control. They have the edge. But psychology is a tough thing. It is a tough thing, and that's why people will FOMO. Even though it's gone up, 3 green candles or whatever in a row, they're going to FOMO into it because it feels comfortable and safe to them, even though it may not be.
And it's not even in just charts or trading, is it? If you think about in life in general, even like if you was to think about a relationship with somebody, if they was to fool you once, you think, oh yeah, fair, that's their fault. Fool me
Yeah,
twice, it's my
right.
fault. Fool me 3 times. In something in human psychology, it's that third time. It's absolutely, it's really interesting. I find it
That's
really
true. The
intriguing.
power
And
of
if
three. There's definitely something
yeah,
about the power of
yeah,
three.
absolutely.
Sure. Third time's a charm, right? As they say. Third time is a charm. Yeah. Um, we are. I mean, we are emotional creatures, and I think a lot of the time we as market participants try to ignore that fact, but it's something we should never forget. And this is why I keep coaching and I keep talking about, you have to have emotional mindfulness and be aware of your emotions, right? And one of the things I talk about, if you enter something, right, and you immediately feel uncomfortable, you probably have too much money in that play. And so that's like a big hack, a big like skill hack, is being aware of your own emotions, because they can tell you, they can give you a lot of information. So it's not always easy to do, emotional mindfulness, especially when you're caught up in it. Like someone's, oh, I'm not angry, they say, as they're like punching the wall. I'm not angry, but you are. So you got to find ways to train yourself to improve your emotional mindfulness skills. It's not always easy to do, but it will definitely help you with trading. So good stuff, brother. Good stuff, man. Anything else you got for us before we wrap it up here?
That was it, mate. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Folks, we have some speaking slots available. We'll probably go a little bit longer here on this Twitter Spaces. It's the Ask Me Anything segment or show. I've done 38 of these. These go to my YouTube channel at Cheds Trading. Hit that button in the bottom left corner. I need you to add your voice to the conversation, add your voice to the choir. I'm not just going to sit here and lecture and riff and go off on a tangent. If you like that, you can go to my YouTube channel and check out my YouTube streams. But this is an interactive back and forth conversation. We've had some great conversations so far. I would encourage you, we've got, almost 100 people here listening. I would encourage you to request to speak, especially if you've never spoken before, if you've never joined these conversations. I would love to have you join the conversation. Again, a longtime friend, Big Jonas, has joined. What would you like to say, Mr. Big Jonas?
Hey, Cheds, first time, long time. What are your
Yeah, sure.
thoughts on seasonality with Bitcoin?
Okay.
Seems to be, just the feeling of like, oh, the fall is always very volatile and kind of feels bearish. And I
Yeah.
remember a few Aprils that have actually been very bullish.
Yeah.
And May was it 2 years ago was the big crash from like 64 to 30. So it seems to
Yeah.
be a lot of repeat things that happen at certain times of the season. So now kind of we're heading into the
Yes.
summer in the northern hemisphere.
It's usually dead, right? It's usually like boring, right?
Yeah, you think the whole sell in May and go away mentality and a slower overall market environment through the summertime
I think that makes
will put
sense. Don't you think
will
so?
put downward pressure really on Bitcoin price.
Maybe. I just feel, we've talked about this a lot, and as you folks may or may not know, Big Jonas is a friend of mine. We've actually done a lot of YouTube streams and stuff together. He's actually quite handsome if you've ever met him. But remember, like 2021, we had that 180-day like rectangle, in 2021 that summer, and but Bitcoin's trendless here. I mean, bulls are in charge, but I see more of a kind of slow sideways to slightly up type of grind. So I don't see it like. So to answer your question, I don't see it necessarily putting pressure on the price. Because I think we've established a price floor personally. But you don't agree with that?
Well, you keep saying bulls are in charge, right? And
Yeah, because that's what the chart
I would,
says. That's what the weekly chart says.
oh, oh.
Oh,
I mean, it's relative though, right? I guess it depends like what your perspective is. If you bought in the teens, all right,
I mean, of course, yeah. I
right?
mean, I'm not talking about how it feels, but from a
Well,
TA, right? From a trend analysis
why
standpoint.
couldn't Bitcoin hold 30K? Wouldn't that be a bulls in charge situation?
Well, we can go back and look at the trend at that point. There was strong bearish momentum still consolidating from that November 21 top, and we had attempted reversals that failed. I mean, when are we talking about 30K? Let's go back. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go back. So when it was at 30K, what, like March of like a year ago? You're saying?
Like a month ago.
Yeah, it was above the 200, but it was below all the kind of momentum, the shorter term momentum, like the EMA 34 and the MA 20. I mean, it was pinned down by the middle Bollinger Band,
I just think
right?
about how Bitcoin at 30K back in was it May of 21, right? And it was the big crash,
Yeah.
and then from
Yeah.
30K it bounced around 31, 30, and then like 29.5, and that was the last
Yeah.
low. And
Yeah.
then went 29.5 to 67,000 rather quickly.
Right.
So that 30K, that 29.5, which produced 100% plus bounce at Bitcoin, that's now
Yeah.
tested and frankly, in my opinion, confirmed as major historic resistance. So
What, 60K or
30K.
30K?
So in this
Sure. For
short-term
sure. Yeah.
move, an echo bubble,
Yeah.
something very similar would happen in 2020 or 2019.
Yeah.
Uh, that's
Yeah.
the bullish argument. But the bearish argument was we just had a major retest of an area where Bitcoin bounced incredibly hard and it was
Yeah.
rejected. So I would argue that, being above 25 is good, but being under
Mm-hmm.
30 is very bad.
So that's your line in the sand is 30K.
That's my long-term line in the sand. I think if Bitcoin maintains a monthly close, preferably 2 monthly closes over 30K, then we can start
Yeah.
talking about the higher low has been established, and
Sure.
we're crawling up to higher and higher. But until we can achieve that, I am not
Yeah.
convinced that this is anything more than a dead cat bounce in an overall bear market.
Dead cat bounce. But even though we've flipped the 200, and even though we completed the Head and Shoulders, like that still doesn't
Well,
do
the
it to you.
200 is irrelevant to me because we broke it bearishly. We stayed under it for a while, and now, yes, we're back
True.
above it, but we violated it. And we violated it in a time, this time, which was very different than the last couple times we touched the 200. The 2020 crash in March, we did break it, but it was a very quick break, and we never closed a weekly or a monthly under it. And then the 20.
No, I don't disagree with you on that point, and and we've talked about this, and for me, there's definitely evidence of longer term weakening bull trend, which is why I'm thinking we do more of a longer type of a consolidation off of that 69K high. But I just think the low is in. I don't think we go to a new high this year or even next year. But I think the low is in, and I think we do more of a kind of an equilibrium or a tightening range on the higher time frame. But I think the low has been set. With that deviation below 18K and recapture, and then the Head and Shoulders.
So what
Flipping
would then
25K.
break your thesis?
My heart?
Well,
What would break my
I know
heart?
how to do that, but would a break below 20? Would a weekly close below 20?
18.5. Just getting
18.5?
below 18K would. Yeah, and I'm already cautious below 25 if that
Yeah.
happened, and I'm looking at kind of a price vacuum from 25 down to really kind of 18.5, and I would let the price develop some structure. If I was to essentially trade that, but I'm still going to lean on my classical charting and look at that kind of the neck base as my kind of almost binary bullish and cautious below level. And then if I do that, I still have if I'm marking my right shoulder, right around 20K, and even the head deviation at 18.5. I mean, that level below that would be a bad move. I don't think it's going to happen though.
And my last question about altcoins: a lot of the wealth, temporarily, but a lot of the wealth, a lot of the excitement in this market was not Bitcoin. It was altcoins. It was exponential moves in penny stocks, right, if you will. We're not in that.
What do you know
A
about that?
little bit. We're not in that environment anymore. After the initial crash and then rebound of a lot of altcoins, sold from like 13 or 12 to 25. There's several more that basically were able to rip almost 100% from their lows.
Yeah, even like FTM had a nice
Yeah,
move. FTM
but
had a nice
that was
move.
months ago.
Stuff like
That
that.
was months ago. And
Sure.
nothing is happening.
Yep.
I think about a coin like
Yeah.
Link, and the army is just begging for a move.
Oh,
And
it's garbage.
It's just dead set sideways at like $6 for the past year. And we saw Bitcoin dominance rise on a lot of that here. So are we seeing an overall shift in the market that the whole shitcoin sentiment is holding stronger, and the push to consolidate investments into Bitcoin will create more of a Bitcoin maximalist utopia where that becomes the standard in crypto? What would it take to bring new money into the altcoin market, which is the ultimate risk-on event?
Yeah. Well, we know, and I want to get the next speaker out. Maybe hang around for a minute too, if you don't mind. But we know the older coins will underperform, right, over time, the Dino coins, and it's we've talked about this. It's just the newer stuff. Like Sol was new, and so that had a better run. But like Link's not going to do anything. Like ADA, these kind of like older stuff, it just underperforms.
It reminds
in
me
the newer cycles.
In the penny stock thing, where you would have these bounces along the way down, and it would be this hopium, right, for the long-term holders that, here's the turnaround, and they remember what the price was like and their portfolio was like at the highs, and it just,
they trade their portfolio.
Right, and it just feels like, how do you create?
Oh, that's a tweet.
No, this is a tweet.
Well, that's a tweet. People trade their portfolio instead of their chart.
That's
good. That's interesting. I'm sorry.
But it
Go ahead.
just creates an event where it's just max pain, right? Where it's never going to let you out of that position. It's going to tease you all the way down.
Let's hang around. Anon, what would you like to say, Anon?
Hey, Cheds, been following you since 2017, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. Okay.
I have been, taking your book, and I think one of my favorite quotes is "Add to your winners, and cut your losers," something like that. Maybe I'm
Yes,
misquoting you here, but
you are,
that's
and the
that.
rest is history. Yep.
Yeah, that has been a big kind of a game changer in how I've kind of even studied my own portfolio as well as trading.
Good
So
for
one
you.
question, yeah, you're welcome. And one, no, thank you. And one question I had is, when do you think, in terms of the year, we'll see all time high for Bitcoin? What's your thesis like? Uh, and
Uh,
what kind of social media chatter will start kind of seeing? Is it more on like the halving was already priced in? Like,
hmm
what do you thought?
And Meta, hold on, I'm going to mute you till it's your turn. What the narrative will be will kind of depend on. It's funny because narratives tend to kind of get formulated after the price does something because you have to try to explain it, and so it's hard to know what the narrative will be until we kind of see the texture and kind of the pace, of which Bitcoin makes this new high. I'd love to hear Jonas' thoughts too, but I think probably we don't see a new high in Bitcoin till like late next year and maybe early 2025. I'm kind of leaning towards that. Maybe early 2025 would be my thought. And when, because I don't, we had touched on this earlier. Jonas pointed out that we had spent all that time below the weekly 200. So we have evidence of weakening longer term trend. Even though I say bulls are still in charge, he's not as convinced. I think we do just consolidate more in a longer time frame and eventually do break out of that, bullishly break out of a tightening range, kind of a higher time frame tightening range. We're not going to do the drop 80% and then go to an all-time high. I think those days are over. So I don't know that we're just going to make a nice new all-time high just because we have a halvening as we've done in the past. And as I said earlier, in terms of the narrative, I think the narrative will have to fit itself to whatever the price action is. So it's hard to kind of speculate now on what the narrative will be then. What do you think, Jonas? New all-time high, like April 2025?
So a scenario where there's never an all-time high, at least not for the next like 3 or 4 years. Think about what the market would be like in that situation. Uh, Longer term, that'd be incredibly bullish, right? It'd be years of a consolidating range, right? That's something
Yeah.
that
Longer the base, the higher the space.
exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So there's that, and then the other thing about the halvening or the halvening. So listen,
Halvening,
it's
yeah.
not. I think each halvening in the future is going to be less and less impactful. The block reward is going to be from 6 and change to 3 and change. Um, the amount of supply not coming on the market because of the halvening isn't that big of a differential in terms of additional scarcity of supply. I would say. I mean, it's like there's already 20 million Bitcoin, right, out of the 21. So that last million will take 150 years to pump out, right? But it doesn't matter. There's basically 5% of the Bitcoin is already out there. So I don't see it as being as impactful, especially in the farther out happenings. Um, in terms of how that affects miners, it's a big thing. When block rewards need to get substituted out eventually for fees, right? If you're not making enough block reward Bitcoin on your mining expenses, then how do you pay for all that? So the fee structure of Bitcoin has to get kind of updated and modernized for what's going to happen. And then the last thing I'll say,
Jonas, can you hear me?
yeah, here,
Jonas, can you
yeah,
hear
am
me?
I breaking up?
Start that again. We lost the last 20 seconds. Yeah, we lost your last 20
Oh,
seconds.
I
Go
just
ahead
told
again.
everybody the future. Um, just about the fact that the miners need to make money, and there needs to be more of a more coherent fee structure on doing that as the block payout of Bitcoin becomes less and less. And then you're looking at a scenario where, let's say, the price of Bitcoin falls, and continues to fall, then a lot of these miners, I mean, are going to become unprofitable very quickly. And that's going to have a major impact on the overall infrastructure. Overall, I still think there's an incredibly amount of dumb money still in shitcoins. You know, half a trillion. I mean, half a trillion is in stuff other than Bitcoin, and I know a lot of that's in Ethereum, which is having its own problems. But this whole notion, this all agreed event that, oh yes, it's Bitcoin and you should hold some Ethereum because of the contracts and blah blah, blah, and everything else is kind of specialized or crap. I think that's ridiculous. I think Ethereum is no different than all the other things that aren't Bitcoin, and it too will fall back below 1,000 again and stay below 1,000 for a while.
What you think? You think so?
Oh yeah, I think we're going to like 400 at some point.
I take the other side of that bet. I would take the other side of that bet. Yeah.
I just think something. I mean, remember, Ethereum was $100 like 2 years ago, and then it went to
Yep.
$4,000, and then yes, it came all the way back
Yeah.
down to $1,000, right? And then it bounced to 2,000, and now we've been kind of in this 1,800 range for quite a while.
Yeah.
It's crap. It's worthless. Or at least it's not worth $1,800.
Well, the market says it's
That's
worth 13.20.
It does, and I can't disagree with the market, because if someone wants to pay me that for an Ethereum, that's great. That's
Yeah.
what the market is saying. But I think people are under this illusion that the contracts with Ethereum and the whole infrastructure built on it is so necessitative to this ecosystem, and the fact that Ethereum.
Hold on, Meta. We'll get you in next.
And yeah, so
Go ahead.
if you believe that it's, and you don't really necessarily have to be a Bitcoin maximalist to just say the fact that everything out there is just shit and doesn't really have a major use case, except the value of what someone will pay for it. And other than Bitcoin, you could argue that the infrastructure of Bitcoin, the network itself, has a monetary value, and I would agree with that. I don't know if it's worth $26,000 coin, but that's another story. But other than that,
All
the
right.
whole altcoin valuations are just absurd.
Meta, thanks for being patient. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your questions. What's going on,
Yep,
buddy?
yep. Just to say, I think you said possibly by April of 25, a new all-time high. I
Yeah.
think definitely, yeah. I think mid 2025, call it June, call it April, whatever you want to say. Definitely a new all-time high, and the reasons I think behind it are, the Fed's about to pause. I think Jerome even put something out today, indicating they've hiked enough. So the Fed's about to pause. The rate cuts are coming. I don't know when. 2024. You got the halving, less than a year from now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Bitcoin ETF. Obviously not this year, maybe 2024, but probably by 2025. It's a complete guess, but it's a matter of when, not if. So, and then the other thing, if you have the XRP, the Ripple SEC case, which it seems like Ripple's doing okay. And I know a lot of people think regulation's bad. I disagree. I think before the sovereign wealth funds come in and the pensions come in, there has to be regulation. I know there's a little controversy on that, and that's all coming, as we can see. The Congress wasn't too happy with Gensler's, willy-nilly style, and he was put on the hot seat a few weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are my reasons, and I agree with you on the April to June, mid 2025 new all-time high, barring any black swan events.
Beautiful.
Does that
Appreciate
coincide
it, brother.
then with the stock market also having hit a new all-time high? Is the S&P at 5,000 if Bitcoin is in this bullish trend that you're saying?
As much as people are saying that we're decoupled from stocks, I think, I don't know for how long, but I think Nasdaq and Bitcoin have been pretty tick for tick, pretty much. Yeah, I would say it does correlate. I still think the S&P. To answer your question, yes.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I agree too. I don't see how Bitcoin rips to 50 or 60 again without the Nasdaq breaking what it hit in the last year, what at like 15K before coming down. So Nasdaq's in a full
Absolutely.
breakout, blue sky, S&P Dow, everything is just back to all-time highs.
Risk
Risk
assets.
assets, then yeah, it's hard to see how Bitcoin isn't just having a great, rip. But if it doesn't play out that way, if inflation stays sticky, and if the Fed, I don't know if the Fed cutting rates is a bullish thing. Historically, when they start to cut rates, it's out of them panicking because the economy is falling apart. So we don't know where we are, but I do know that there's still a ton of money just floating around out there still, even with all um, the drawdowns of a lot of the stocks that were the big winners during the pandemic, and the fact that so much of that is concentrated into these, the big five, right? Apple, Microsoft, all them. It's a very untenable situation where you just cut one of these legs out of the stool that's propped up the whole market, and the cascade could be pretty epic.
Jonas, you got a response from Bleeding Crypto. I think he agrees with you. He basically just said that thing. So, folks, just a quick reset. We'd love to have you join the conversation and ask questions. Meta, thank you very much, brother. Hopefully, we'll see you around here.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Cheds.
Meta.
Yep.
Folks, join the conversation. Hit that button. We'll probably go on for another 20 or 30 minutes, certainly as long as we have questions. Ask Me Anything, episode 38. These all go to my YouTube channel at Cheds Trading. Check out the Bitcoin live sale. Unbelievable sale that's in the tweet at the top of the spaces. But right now, I'd like you to hit that button in the bottom left on your device or on whatever your desktop, whatever you're using. We want you to step up and into the conversation. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your questions, your feedback, and that way you can add value and we can keep this conversation going. So one more person. We need a few more people here, speakers to step up, and we can keep this thing rolling. Come on, folks. We're waiting for you. I know you're sitting there listening. And we'd love to hear your perspective. We'd love to hear your questions. I've got Big Jonas who's in the house, and he's another great voice. He adds another perspective. I love having him here in the Twitter Spaces because we rarely agree on anything. So you have a great opportunity to ask not just me a question, but to hear the perspective of Big Jonas as well. He is a veteran trader. So, folks, this is Ask Me Anything. We need those questions. We need you to join the conversation. Hit that button to request to.
Chad, I had another
What's
thought
up?
about what was the guy who last spoke. He brought up the Bitcoin.
Yeah.
He brought up the Bitcoin ETF. I don't think it matters as much anymore. I think honestly, the most bullish event recently involving um, more like legacy investments is the fact that Fidelity has allowed their customers to buy Bitcoin and
Yes.
Ethereum, and that I think has really been a game changer. Not to mention the fact that literally when they rolled this out was Bitcoin's bottom for now at 15, 16K. But the fact that as an investor who uses Fidelity, you don't have to screw around with Coinbase. You don't have to send and convert and all this stuff. You can just buy spot, out of your investment account and set up a situation where you're, consistently adding to that every month or so if you want to. That's, I feel, is so much more of a game changer than a Bitcoin ETF. We have
Yep.
Bitcoin products that we can trade, BITIF and a bunch of Bitcoin derivative, whatever exchange stocks and stuff that are available to trade on, GBTC as well. So really, I don't see the ETF as being a major change in investment possibilities, if you will. if it were to be approved at some point in the future. And frankly,
it's also an interesting timing too, given what we're seeing. Have you seen the news with like Ledger, like the hardware wallet,
yeah.
right? And how like they admitted like they could always backdoor into it if they wanted to. And so like do you want to riff a little bit on the concept of like not only do we have to to get people into the space, we need retail, but like where can they hold their coins? And if you can't even hold it on Ledger or whatever, so maybe something like a Fidelity that's quote unquote a little bit safer, maybe that is somewhat of a solution to that
Yeah,
issue.
it's a great question because the notion of, not your keys, not your coins is very valid. And I think investors who had money in Voyager and Circle and BlockFi would agree with that. Too late, unfortunately, for some. But if Ledger, which is supposed to be, it's mine, I have it in my hard wallet on my Ledger, and now we're learning that that there was a backdoor, or there can be a backdoor, and that it kind of negates that sense of unconfiscatability, which is a term that is heard a lot. Shout out to Tone. So right, so custodialship is such a big factor, and the fact that there were companies like BlockFi that were custodians, right? Paying interest on them holding your Bitcoin, and the brutal realization that they weren't secure. And if the company folds, they're taking your coins with you, or they're taking your coins with them, was a brutal wake up call for a lot of people that thought they were doing smart and prudent investing. So the Fidelity thing, which I trust, I can sleep at night having my Bitcoin with Fidelity, much more so than any Bitcoin company that popped up in the last few years. Until custodial issues are fixed or streamlined or more secured in the future, then you're not going to have that, or at least no one will be comfortable investing in another situation where there's an APR payout on your coin that's much higher than any bank would ever pay you for having cash in their bank. And that was a big red flag, too good to be true situation that proved to be so.
So that's the big catalyst we need, really, right? More than anything, more than ETF, or maybe that will partially do that. But that's the catalyst we need, is a safer way, to store your funds. How to just like an average Joe, get their hard-earned money into the space and then not get rugged, by something they thought was safe. We talked about like even FTX, like back. I don't, and I said this last time, like I'm not like mad at people. I don't make fun of people who like trusted FTX. Like I thought it was legitimate. Like what did I know? I mean, so until it's until we have these more secure solutions, it's going to be harder for the space to grow and really get another all-time high that people seem to be kind of keep asking about. When it's
And not
coming.
just that, I think the FTXism and everything that happened in the past year or so, it's not over. We can't just push that under the rug and just move on with this industry. There's still a lot of reckoning that has to play out with all of the fraud. Let's just call it what it was, fraud that was perpetrated on a lot of the customers. The fact that prices go up and down and the valuation of a coin was this and now it's that, that's market forces. But the overall Ponzi grift of these companies, that were paying out interest payments basically by being able to use I mean, it was just a straight up Ponzi's that imploded. So the amount of availability of to create fraud in this market, and the reckoning of that, I still feel has years to play out, and people that got
Jonas,
killed in this market are not coming back. Yo.
we got another guest. We got my friend here, Scott Melker, Wolf of All Streets. We probably got another 10 or 15 minutes on the spaces, but I'd love to hear Scott's thoughts. I know he's pretty deep in the space, and I know you've talked about this a lot. Maybe you've been listening, just kind of jumped in here just recently, Scott. But do you have any kind of thoughts in that? And we were basically just saying, like, how is this space going to grow if people like don't know even where or how to store their funds?
What's up, fellas? Yeah, I popped on and heard the word Voyager, and then I puked and almost hung up. But then I decided to stick around and see where Jonas was going. I mean, it's absurd. But the problem, actually, I think, with those companies, obviously, was that people trusted them, and the marketing was, unbank yourself, and that these were effectively banks where you could trust. But all of that could have been solved largely by simply having the regulators require proper disclosures, like they would have with any investment instrument, in any other market. So it's like sort of laughable that the regulators now are coming in to protect everybody who's already lost their money and already in Chapter 11, when literally, I mean, I can tell you just anecdotally, as a Voyager creditor, and I sadly could say that all of these, in hindsight, all these sort of fraudsters were people I largely counted as friends, right? I openly admit that. Like Steve Ehrlich, I knew him from 2019. I was one of Voyager's first 100 customers. They didn't even offer a yield product. It's where I traded. I had SBF on my show like 10 times, just like you said. I trusted FTX. I drank the Kool-Aid, But if there had been a disclosure, because Voyager was operating a hedge fund and not a bank, if they had said, hey, we've just, in real time, it said we've just offered an unsecured, uncollateralized loan to Three Arrows Capital in the amount of $700 million because we need to be able to pass yield on to our customers, I would have withdrawn my money, right? I would have said, you're a fucking loser. Have fun, staying poor, and I would have pulled my money out. But I didn't have that option, right? And so I think that transparency, I know that we were talking about custody, but I think transparency with them not being allowed to market that they were FDIC insured, which was bullshit, right? Metropolitan Bank was, or being able to give the impression that that they were securing your assets or were a custodian would have probably saved. Now, listen, plenty of people would have never read the fine print, wouldn't have paid attention to those announcements, but at least you could have said, people have the choice to do what they want. I don't think that was the case here. So I think that was the biggest problem. It's not about whether things are unregistered securities or whatever. It's literally just proper transparency as to what's being done with your money. But until we have that, I can't really imagine leaving a significant amount of cash anywhere, right? But then to your point, people are dumbasses, and self-custody is a fucking disaster for like 99% of people on the planet. Now, I believe in self-custody. I do it, but I'm also half redacted. And I literally interviewed Pascal. You say redacted, by the way, so you don't get canceled. But I had Pascal from Ledger on my podcast. I recorded with him last week and put it out literally an hour before all the Ledger controversy dropped. Like, I couldn't have had worse timing. We discussed the product like in a favorable light. I obviously didn't know the details of the back doors and things like that. But even he said, listen, man, he's like, one time I was so clever, I hid my private keys, like a piece of paper. I had my PIN, my ledger. Couldn't remember where I left the private keys. He's like, yeah, so I eventually, I used the PIN, I transferred to another wallet. This is the guy who created it, right? So, you can't expect your grandma or your cousin or sister, baby cousin, Tracy's uncle to, know how to secure their private keys or to not fall on their head or to not accidentally light them on fire. And so I think self-custody works for a very, very select few, and that we're going to need products with better UX UI. Now, listen, I was sort of hopeful about Ledger Stacks, but obviously because it kind of, is designed by the same person who designed the iPod, it looks slick. I think it'll be extremely usable, but now obviously there's all these question marks about Ledger. I think they're a bit overblown, but caution is necessary. And I think you're right. I think it's just very hard to know where you could possibly put your funds at this point unless you have immense trust in yourself and probably an air-gapped hardware wallet. I mean, I use an Ngrave. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. I actually had Ruben on the show to kind of explain this Ledger stuff to me this morning, which is completely air-gapped because it works through QR codes. But it's an amazing device. I've been using it for years. But to do my private keys, I literally had to use this screwdriver tool they give you that punches metal holes in this huge slate. And most people aren't doing that, right? I did it. Woke my kids up actually because I didn't realize how loud it was going to be when I started doing it. But I mean, we still don't have a slick solution. Honestly, I think you could probably take that same analogy to everything in crypto and just say we got our 0 to 1 moment, but we don't have we've not gotten from 1 to 10 to where we have any single product that's ready for mainstream usage.
I mean, do we need like TradFi? Do we need like Fidelity and like Schwab and like? Do we need custody there? And like, does that go against the whole cyberpunk and like
we
not
don't
your
need
keys?
them, but if we want mainstream adoption, we need to accept that 90% of people have zero interest in self custody and never will. And I don't want to get like burnt at the stake for saying it, because that doesn't mean I think they shouldn't care about it. But let's be real, right? I mean, the same people who like rail against privacy then like, you know, enter all their data into Google and we use iPhones and you know what I mean? So it's like, come on, we're giving it all away all the time. You know, and so people don't really care about these things. If people truly cared about decentralization, I mean, I laugh. I use this example all the time, right? We talk about killer use cases of crypto, all these things. The killer app of crypto so far is stablecoins, which is just fiat digitally that can be sent all over the world, right? Like we would love to talk about hyperinflation and people all over the world using Bitcoin, but what they want is dollars because that's what they can't get. And where are they sending their how are they sending their dollars? On fucking Tron. Literally like 70 or something % of all stablecoin transactions are done on Tron, which literally nobody in crypto I'm aware of likes. But nobody cares because it's cheap and it's fast.
Yeah.
They don't care if it's secure. They don't care if it's decentralized. They don't care about raging against the machine. People just want to send their money around fast and know it's going to get there and not spend a lot of money to do that. So we need to find a way where we kind of bridge the decentralized part of it and keep sort of delivering the important ethos, but also merge with the real world and offer things people care about.
We got to get retail, right? You can't make a new high without retail, right? And like, if everyone sees everyone else getting rugged, like they're not going to put their money in. I mean, it's just not going to
Plus,
happen.
the point you just said, Scott, about Melker, about the using Tron for just the medium of exchange. It's so interesting because it's like, isn't that the point of what Bitcoin promises to be? It's a transactionable thing, but in reality, when you think about the meme pool and all these things that can back up transactions and you have to wait, you know, in the past I've sent people Litecoin just because I know it will be there much faster than other things, and the fees were small, and it was just, I'll be just converted to this and converted to that, and the practicality of the usage needs to get dumbed down incredibly more to make the whole process of using crypto so easy and so no brainer, which is 90% of what the country needs to actually use something. And I agree. I don't think we're anywhere close to that paradigm where everyone's just pulling out their phone and, you know, spending and transferring stuff easy with crypto, holding crypto, and not having to worry about the custodial aspect of it, which you're right. And from a practicality standpoint is ridiculous unless you're a computer guy.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin was obviously the white paper, you know, peer-to-peer electronic cash. That narrative is long dead. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I actually think it's a good thing. I think more expensive, more secure, there has to be the Fort Knox of crypto, and that's what Bitcoin should be. And, you know, this will light a fire under the ass to actually have some legitimate layer 2 activity to build those to get Lightning up to par, or things will just do exactly what we said, which will just, if you want to send something fast, you'll just go do it on Tron, right? And convert back, and that's life. I mean, my dirty secret, 2016, 2017, I think the first time I sent a Bitcoin transaction took like 16 hours, you know, and I was shitting my pants because I'd never sent a Bitcoin transaction. I assumed I typed something wrong. And listen, we've all done it, right? Anytime, I still kind of like glance twice when I send a crypto transaction.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
No,
Double,
everyone
triple
does.
check.
So my dirty secret in 2016, 2017, because Doge was so stable in value for any given time, you know, it would be between like 18, 22 sats. It wasn't in dollars and whatever. It would sit there for, you know, a couple months and go. I would literally, Doge was fast, so I would send Doge. Like when I needed to send money around. And then after that, I would use XRP. I never held XRP, but I would trade into XRP, send it because it was lightning fast, and convert right back to Bitcoin because I had a bad experience with sending Bitcoin, you know. And so I've sent Bitcoin 1,000 times since, but I just don't think that's the use case of it. And I think I would actually rather see Bitcoin's narrative solidified as the hedge against, you know, monetary policy. Banks go down, Bitcoin price goes up. I love that. right? And digital gold. It was actually interesting when I was talking to Pascal from Ledger. He said that they create these indexes to sort of judge the market for just deciding how to market their products, who's going to buy. And when you actually combine the price of Bitcoin and the sale of hardware devices, it's almost exactly like 1-to-1 correlated with gold. So when you see, like FTX, right? Bitcoin price, and after FTX it rose, Bitcoin price went up right as people were realizing self-custody was important, and almost the same price action as gold. So I think that sort of securing your assets, opting out of the system narrative with self-custody makes a lot of sense. But just like I don't sleep at night great with self-custody either, and anyone who tells you who does has got to be a lot stronger willed than me.
Don't you just got to hedge a little bit and have a little bit everywhere, maybe split it up? I mean, you can't.
Dude, I have multi-sig. My Bitcoin's in multi-sig. Like, people, I mean, come rob me because you're not getting shit. Like, I mean, unless you want to get on a flight and, like, I'm a lunatic about it. I have cost a multi-sig 3 of 5 vault. And so, like, have geographically distributed wallets all over the country. But how fucking absurd is this?
Yes, it is.
I'm doing it because I'm a public personality. I'm doxxed. I've had, like, legitimate problems and threats and stuff. So I went further down that rabbit hole. But, like, nobody wants to do that, man.
No.
That's not a mainstream product. Like having your stuff in a bank in another state that you have to fly to so that you can send a Bitcoin transaction from your, like, the account you view as your bank is not ready for mainstream.
No.
Let's face the facts then all the new people that came to crypto and came to this industry during the bull market of 2021, it wasn't for the technology, it wasn't for the new form of banking, maybe a few percent. It was just the charts, the numbers.
It was a gamble. Yeah, I mean, it was
everybody. It was a
that's the
speculative
number one
event.
use
Everyone
case.
was making money hand over fist, and it created a generation of new traders that got just destroyed, and even some old traders. And you don't come back from that, from what I've seen, so fast. I think a lot of people that maybe would have stayed in the industry, in the trading of crypto and whatever, longer, or at least for indefinitely, just got wiped out, and you just can't see them coming back in.
Oh, you will. You'll see them at 75,000.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like,
yeah, it's just price that's going to bring them back.
Exactly.
It's not going to be their deep belief in the use case. But I think the thing is, like, you're right, and I say the same thing all the time. But I think that there's plenty of people, like I said, I mean, I actually came in as a speculator in 2016. I was a trader from other markets. People told me about these unicorn 1000x pumps in crypto. I came for money, right? And I backed into my sort of orange pill passion for the space. I love Doge. Before Doge was a thing, I loved trading Doge. That was like literally what brought me into crypto in like those cycles. And so there's plenty of people like me who come in through the memes, or at this point come in through the NFTs, and then back their way into actually, doing a little research and understanding. But to your point, 95% of the people who come in because they heard of Pepe first from their taxi driver are never coming back, or are not coming back until there's another huge FOMO wave and they buy in and then they get washed again. But that's not unique to crypto. I mean, that's just markets, right? There's that's kind of saying the quiet part out loud about the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. We give it all the credit in the world to the halving and all these things, but it's really just like when price goes to a certain low point, everyone leaves, and when price comes to a certain high point, everyone comes back. And that's why market cycles exist, because humans are ridiculous.
But then you put that into a world that we live in now, with inflation, where housing has never cost more, food has never cost more, and the money that the government paid out, and all the loans and everything, that was a one-time generational event, kind of a moment. So to think we're going to have a bull market again, yes, I agree with that. I think at some point just markets do reverse. There'll be enough people on the bear side to push us out into a bull market. I don't think we're close to that happening anytime soon, but it's hard to see the parabolic moves we saw on so much vastness of this industry, that that's going to play out again the way it did, without some world where free and easy money is back again, zero interest and payouts, and the ability for young people to take actual cash and put that in investable things,
like an ether rock.
right? Like that's
Yes.
never to think about that happening again. A young person putting 100 grand or 200 grand into a JPEG, and them having that much cash in the first place. I don't think we're going to see a time when we had so many young
Yeah,
people have
I
so
agree with
much
that
cash.
part, but I would take the other side of the first part of that, though. I agree they won't have the cash, but I would definitely take the other side of the other part, because where are they going to put their money if they're young and they come from a technology generation and they're crypto native? I mean, my kids are 8 and 4. They're never going to grow up in a world where they didn't at least know Bitcoin existed. It wasn't a ticker on CNBC. They're not going to buy gold in mutual funds. Right? It may not be NFTs and meme coins, but whatever iteration of digital assets are popular 10 years from now, that's going to be what they're going to be buying. And my money's on that being some sort of like blockchain based asset,
What
or
if
we've been
CBCD? What
conquered
if
by AI.
CBDCs take over though? I mean, what if that happens though? You know what I mean?
I mean, it depends on the CBDC. I think everybody views CBDC as like this unspoken evil that's coming for all of us. But a
Yeah.
CBDC, and by the way, I agree with that. But there's a off chance that governments would do CBDCs right, where they were more like cash and secured, like, and protected your privacy. I'm not saying that will happen, by the way, but there are good people. But there are good people working on that, like Chris Giancarlo, who used to be the commissioner of the CFTC. People called him Crypto Dad, if you guys remember from the last administration. Was actually very like forward on crypto. Wish we had guys like that instead of Gary Gensler still.
Yeah.
But like he has a think tank called the Digital Dollar Project that's a non-for-profit, and it's literally like they're basically going around the world to everyone developing a CBDC and talking to them about the importance of maintaining privacy and doing it in the right way. So there are people that are working on that. That's a real thing. But taking the other side, if CBDCs come and they are evil and they violate our privacy and it's social credits and they airdrop us stimulus and take our tax money directly out of our wallet, or tell us that we have $100, we can only buy shoes or food and it has to be done by June 1st. Well, in that world, I'll take the optimistic view, which is that everybody's going to have a digital wallet. Everybody's going to become comfortable with transacting digitally, which, by the way, they pretty much are with Venmo, PayPal, and such anyways.
Yeah.
And then they're going to say this is bullshit, and they're going to find crypto. And they're going to now have sort of jumped that creek of uncomfortability with having digital money, which I still think is a huge barrier. And they're going to find what's better, and they're going to be comfortable using it. They're going to know how to use a wallet, and then we win. So, but of course, like, I'm a Bitcoiner, so sure, I think that.
And the scarcity of Bitcoin will win out in that situation too.
Yeah. I mean, when we've won, you'll know we've won when we stop talking about the value of Bitcoin and we start talking about the value of sats.
All right, man.
People still think they need to own a whole Bitcoin.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm so glad we folks, normally it's just me talking to regular folks, but I'm really glad Big Jonas and Scott Melker joined us here today. I love just kind of hanging out with these guys. These are friends of mine, veterans of the industry. I'll probably wrap it up pretty soon. Scott, did you want to say anything?
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
No, I'm good, man. Go back to the people. I was literally just popping in to listen because I saw you and Jonas and wanted to hear you guys talk shit. I didn't expect to come up on stage, so appreciate that.
No, we're glad you joined. Thanks, man. Jonas, you want to say anything before? I'm probably going to wrap it up here.
Yeah.
We'll go get a little workout in. What do you got?
Just that we're heading into the slower months of the market typically. I know the past few years that really hasn't been the case, just because of the amount of volume and players, traders in the market, newer traders. But I think a lot of that's kind of, gone out of the way a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if this summer is just kind of long and boring in terms of from a trading aspect. Not necessarily a bad thing, but just pick your battles. If you want to trade coins in this market, try and stick to the ones that at least have a decent amount of volume in them. We've seen what kind of low volumes can do to certain things on the upside and the downside. And we always say we're long-term optimistic, long-term bulls, and I think that's fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just still think there's a lot of reckoning that has to render itself from the events of the past few years. And but as traders, doesn't that mean that we can't find opportunity in that? So be safe, be smart, and thanks for
get your pets spayed and neutered.
get your pets spayed and neutered. And it's nice to see friendly faces in the room. Bleeding Crypto, what's up, buddy? And everybody else there, appreciate you guys hanging out with us and listening to Big Cheds.
Listen, folks, that's Big Jonas. If you harass him enough on Twitter, he'll be more active. If you tweet him and say, "We love you, come back. I want you to do YouTube," he'll do it. I mean, this guy's an OG. Big Jonas he got me into crypto. So you can tell you that tells you how long he's been around. I'm gonna wrap it up now. It's been another wonderful Ask Me Anything, episode 38. If you like this, I have many, many more available on my YouTube channel at Cheds Trading in the playlist, Twitter Spaces. While you're there, check out the Masterclass Technical Analysis webinar playlist. A lot of great information, 3 beginner and 2 advanced playlists. I'm the author of Trading Wisdom, which is the book's done really, really well, and thank you for that. You can get a free version of that book on my YouTube channel. I have 1/3 of the book up there. Take a look at that. I did publish Trading Quotes back in December. Super proud of that book. Consider checking that out. And just to let you folks know, I'm a founding analyst at Bitcoin Live, the best-in-class educational platform for crypto. I'm part of a world-class team of analysts, traders, and educators. And we have just a ridiculous 5-year anniversary sale right now. The admin, they did this sale where you can get like the first 3 months membership for $27, which is it's kind of ridiculous. Even at normal price, it's a wonderful deal. Just because you get when you sign up, you get access to everyone's content. I do a twice a week full market report on Wednesday and Sunday night. It doesn't matter what's going on. My wife knows it's time for a Bitcoin Live video. I shut the door, leave me alone, and I do a report. It doesn't matter what's happening. We got to keep working every day to get better, and that's what I do. And again, when you sign up, you get access to everyone's content. So check out the information at the top of the spaces. It has a link to that. Also on my profile as well, there's a link to that. The pinned tweet. You have like 3 days left, 3 or 4 days left. You're not going to want to miss this. Everyone who's listening, thank you. I really appreciate you. If I didn't get to you, I will get to you next time. And guess what? I'm going to do one of these tomorrow. I'm going to do a spaces tomorrow. I'll do one Sunday and Monday. So please do come back and please do consider requesting to speak, adding your voice to the choir, adding your voice to the conversation. You folks make this conversation worth it. You are the ones who make this a wonderful conversation. If you're a new trader, you got to go back and listen to these the other spaces. It's just a wealth of knowledge to be had. So I encourage you to do that. And I hope everybody's doing well, sending you good karma, good energy. And, I'll talk to you folks soon. All right. Big Cheds out. All right. Episode 38. I have 3 more to get caught up with. I'll probably premiere those tomorrow. And then we'll start making new content. Folks, thanks for hanging out. Big Cheds on Twitter, Cheds Trading YouTube. Check out Trading Wisdom and Trading Quotes on Amazon. And check out Bitcoin Live. Peace out.